AI built a feature in 47 minutes, which was 8 hours of work a few years ago. But here's what nobody's telling you. Without the right strategies, that same AI wastes 3 hours building the wrong thing. Hi, I'm Chuck. I've been writing code for 30 years. In 2023, I realized I either needed to embrace AI or find a new career. I chose to embrace it. Since then, I've built a dozen applications using coding agents, and today I'm sharing every strategy I've learned with you. AI changes everything. Most notably, it speeds everything up. What took a day now takes an hour. The speed means a few things. First, your feedback cycles are much faster. Errors and wrong directions surface faster, and getting to success also surfaces faster. Second, a lot of code is now throwaway. It's mostly cost effective to write and discard than to write and refactor. Third, software development potholes that took years to run into now surface in weeks or months. Fourth, without guidance, AI quickly goes off the rails and over the cliff. In my time using coding agents like Cursor, I've discovered 12 strategies that help keep AI from going over the cliff. These are discovered the hard way, by trial and error. Strategy 1, use the Agent.md file. One of the many things I noticed about LMs is they always want to add fallbacks. Fallbacks are conditional code that execute when the first condition fails. This is great when your code is going to Mars, but most code isn't going to Mars, certainly not mine. To make matters worse, fallbacks are inherently buggy and aren't needed most of the time. This is where an Agent.md file comes in. You can instruct the LLM not to use fallbacks. In fact, you can tell it to do anything. Anything that you would add to a prompt can be added to the Agent.md file. The file is automatically added to each context, so your instructions are always available to the LLM when you start a new context. At the moment, each coding agent has their own Agent.md file. Cursor calls theirs .cursorrules. Claude calls theirs Claude.md. I suspect in the near future, coding agents will standardize on a common name like LLM.md or Agent.md. We'll see. In my Agent.md file, I define the software patterns, the testing strategy, the architecture I want to use, anything I find the agent doing over and over again due to lack of context or direction, add it to the file. There's a link to a repository of agent rules in the description below. Once your Agent.md file is set up, you'll want to use AI unhindered. Strategy 2, going full throttle. Both Claude Code and Cursor AI, out of the box, start in a safe mode. Safe mode requires permissions for each tool call. After a few minutes of approving every tool call, I was done with safe mode. Fortunately, every coding agent allows you to opt out of safe mode. The risk is AI can go off and do undesirable things, but in the time I've been using coding agents, I've never had it to do anything that wasn't reversible. I do keep an eye on what the LLM's doing. I don't feel comfortable walking away from the coding agent just yet. Honestly, unless you're asking the LLM to work on live production code, and I don't know why you would want to do that, you don't need safe mode. Now that you've freed your coding agent, we need to define the problem. Strategy 3, defining the problem. AI is a literalist. You get what you ask for, which means vague prompts produce vague results. I found providing AI detailed requirements and asking for an assessment get the best results. This gives AI an opportunity to look for gaps in the design and respond with follow-up questions. After a couple back and forths, we have a solid plan. In recent releases, both Cursor and Claude Code have added a plan mode, which formalizes the above process. I take it a step further and have another LLM review the plan. For example, I use ChatGPT for the first AI assessment. It generates a markdown doc with all the requirements. I then take that document and give it to Claude. Asking for feedback and second reviews from Claude always finds missing gaps. This is a taste thing, but what I've noticed is that AI tends to over-architect for me. And again, AI seems to think the code is on its way to Mars. Who knows why? Once you've settled on a plan, ask AI to save it to a document in your project. Which brings me to my next point. Strategy 4, create a phased plan. After you've created a plan, ask AI to break the work up in phases. You'll want small units of work. The smaller the better. The smaller the unit, the higher chance of success. Some coding agents do this out of the box, but if they don't, ask them to. The best plan will still fail if you can't track the progress. This is where checklists come in. Strategy 5, ask for a checklist. Ask AI for a checklist. Tell AI you need a checklist to track the progress. Many of the coding agents have added the checklist to the agent prompt and UI. Sometimes I still need a checklist to track progress or track long-running work. The checklist also gives AI something to measure itself against, so it knows when it's done. Checklists are great, but how do we span context with checklists? This is where our handoff document comes in. Strategy 6, create a handoff document. What is a handoff document, you might be asking? Glad you asked. A handoff document is a high-level detail of the application. Its purpose is to bring an empty context up to speed on the domain, the code, and the architecture of your application. Ideally, the agent picks up in stride where the previous context slash agent left off. Each time I start a new context, I include my handoff document and I instruct AI on the new feature. AI picks up the task and begins working like it's been working on the project for 6 months. It seems a bit magical. The document is great for smaller applications, but in larger applications, it consumes a lot of tokens and isn't practical. I'm considering other strategies such as using a vector database or a graph database, but I'm still experimenting with these concepts. I'd love to hear how you approach this problem. Please leave a comment below. Even with the checklists and the handoff document, AI makes mistakes. This is where commits come in. Strategy 7, check in often. Make small commits. Small commits allow you to go back to a known good state. I found that sometimes AI goes down a rabbit hole and there's just no recovery. Just reset. Strategy 8, reset the context. Be ruthless in resetting the context. Sometimes AI goes down the wrong path or makes a mistake. Just eject and start over. When all of your documents are in order, it's a breeze to start a new context. This is the brilliance of the handoff document. But I'll be honest, when working with AI, I find myself humanizing AI because as I read its responses, it feels like I'm talking to another human. And hitting that reset button sometimes tugs at my humanity. One way to limit the rabbit holes is through testing. Strategy 9, testing. When I was a software engineer, testing sucked. Writing test code is some of the most mundane work for a software engineer. With AI, there isn't any reason you shouldn't be testing your code. AI will write all the tests for you. In fact, you can specify an 80% test coverage in the Agent.md, and the coding agent magically adds the tests. It's amazing. I found testing beneficial beyond the quality component of testing. It gives AI a structure to validate its work, which leads to higher code quality and better use of AI in the long run. A word of caution, I often have AI make code changes without updating the tests. It's just faster. But after the code is working, I ask AI to do the test. And sometimes AI takes the tests too seriously and changes the production code to match the old tests, undoing all the changes I just made. Another way I found to improve quality is through automation. Strategy 10, automate, automate, automate. Make things as easy as possible. Before AI, I often heard, one-touch deployments, that would be great, but we don't have the time. Now, there's no excuse. AI will automate everything for you. My goal is to have every action be a single command. For example, if I want to start an application, I create a start shell script. I want to run a test, I create a single test shell script. Deploy the application, you guessed it, a deployment shell script. Automation serves two purposes. First, it saves you time. And second, and probably more importantly, is it removes human error from the process. Any place there is friction and multiple steps, I want to automate it away. But to solve the harder problems, sometimes I need a more capable LLM. Strategy 11, use the best LLM. Don't skimp on the model performance. I know the latest models are expensive, but in an effort to save money, it might cost you. Occasionally, Cursor will recommend using their auto mode to save tokens. They say, you're approaching your limit for the month, try our auto mode to save tokens. It's like, okay, this sounds good, right? What could go wrong? I'm always open to saving some money. So I turned it on and implemented the feature. It was a disaster. I spent the next 3 hours unwinding the mess, using the latest models, and it ended up costing me double what I would have paid if I hadn't used auto mode. My point isn't that auto mode is bad. It's actually not. It does a great job. It's just the problems I'm working on are complex problems and require the best models. But sometimes even the best models aren't enough. You need the right tools. Strategy 12, tools. Think of AI as the brain. It thinks, but it can't do anything. This is the power of a tool. It gives AI the ability to act. I put coding agent tools into two classes. First are tools designed to enhance software development. Think of GitHub's MCP or Anthropic's Sequential Thinking MCP. These tools generally make coding agents more capable. Second are the tools that interact with the project. For example, a database MCP or a command line tool. These tools give the coding agent the ability to write code, run the code, and test results, completing a full feedback cycle. The brilliant thing about AI is if you need a tool and there isn't one, AI can create it for you. Here are the tools I use with Cursor. The first tool is called Serena. Serena attempts to offload tasks like reading files and saving data to memory that would normally have AI generating commands to execute the operation. The goal of this project is to reduce the number of tokens used and keep common operations local. I put a link to the Serena project in the description below. Next tool I use is called Sequential Thinking by Anthropic. I mean, come on, if it's by Anthropic, it's probably pretty good. What this tool does is breaks down complex problems into manageable steps. It adds dynamic and reflective problem solving through a structured thinking process. The last tool I use is a project-specific tool called Neo4j, and it's a tool I had AI create for me. It's been invaluable. Before, AI would ask me to run queries, I would run the queries and then paste the results into the chat. You can imagine after a couple cycles of this, it became very cumbersome. With the tool, AI runs its own queries and no human intervention is needed. I tell AI what I want, it queries the database and gets the data it needs. It's beautiful and it's quicker. If you find friction in your development process, ask AI to help. You might be surprised with what it comes up with. Let's be honest here. Working with coding agents feels a lot like pairing with a smart junior programmer. Occasionally forgets everything we just told them. These 12 strategies are how I manage that relationship. They might not work for everyone, and that's okay. Find what works for you. So my question to you is, what's working for you? Drop a comment below. I'd love to know. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button. It helps others find my videos and it helps me grow my channel. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. To connect with me, you can comment below or find me on social media or contact me via my website. The details are in the description below. Thanks for watching. Stay curious. Keep learning.